All right, guys, this one is going to be very quick. And the reason I'm making this video today is because I want to offer some advice to prosecutors across the country, especially prosecutors that are trying to convict a police officer of killing somebody. If you are going to be a prosecutor and you're going to try to put a police officer on trial and you're going to bring weapons up as exhibits of evidence, make sure you understand what the parts of a weapon are that you were pointing to. I'm going to explain this photo in just a second here, but what I'm talking about is I'm watching the trial of Franklin County Deputy Jason Mead. Jason Mead was working with a U.S. Marshals task force one day when he said he was putting some of his gear in the trunk of his car. He observed a man later identified as Casey Goodson drive by. He said that Casey Goodson had a firearm in his hand, pointed that firearm at him as he drove by, then parked his vehicle, refused to obey commands to stop and drop his firearm, ran into the backyard of a house as he was entering an unknown house or a location that Jason Mead did not know the occupants of that house. He turned, pointed his firearm one more time at Deputy Jason Mead, causing Deputy Mead to discharge his firearm, ended up shooting and killing Casey Goodson. The prosecution in this case, is trying to convict Jason Mead of murder in this case. And the reason they're doing that is they're saying, he couldn't have been pointing a firearm at the deputy. He was carrying Subway sandwiches into the house. And that's one of the main arguments. The fact that he was carrying Subway sandwiches and that you have to use a key to get in the house to unlock the door. They're saying that he could not have had a firearm in one hand and Subway sandwiches and a key in the other hand to open his door. Therefore, he's innocent, which is weird because they're trying to say that Casey's innocent, therefore Jason Mead is guilty. That's not how this works, but regardless, that's what they're trying to say. In reference to the Franklin County Deputy Jason Mead trial for the murder of Casey Goodson, there's a lot of people saying that Casey Goodson could not have been carrying a firearm because he was carrying Subway sandwiches into the house and he had to use his key to unlock the door to the house. Casey Goodson was right-handed. I'm holding my phone in my right hand. In my left hand, I'm holding multiple bags of groceries. I am now going to demonstrate how you can unlock a car or unlock a lock using a key while carrying Subway sandwiches with something in your other hand. So, got my key in my hand. I'm going to manipulate the key, open it up, walk over to the door, put the key in the door. Sorry, I hit my panic button. So I unlocked the door using the key. I can open the door. You can do this if you have a firearm in your right hand and Subway sandwiches in your left hand. It's really not that difficult. To say. One of the other things that they're trying to do is they brought this firearm into the courtroom, or pictures of it, and they're trying to demonstrate that Casey Goodson's weapon was unsafe. If his weapon was unsafe, he did not intend to shoot Deputy Mead. Therefore, Deputy Mead is guilty. That's the tactic that they're taking. So what they did is they brought pictures of the firearm, and I'm going to show you the video here in just a second. It's about 90 seconds.
Okay, sir.
What's that depicting?
Evidence marker 9, it's a handgun.
Okay. Is that located on the floor of the kitchen?
Yes, sir.
May I publish, Your Honor?
Maybe.
Can you see the safety on that gun?
What number is this?
I'm sorry. It's 2CCC. Can you see the safety on that gun?
I believe so.
Is this the safety right here?
Now, I believe the safety is the small circle, if I'm looking at it. Sorry. I would have to look at it right side up to be certain, but it's just not clear in that photo to me that
Okay.
where it's at, to be honest on that.
This is because this object that the prosecutor pointed at is not a safety at all. This is actually the slide release lever. And what I'm going to do to demonstrate that is make the camera a little bit bigger. And I have the same or very similar firearm to what was in that picture. This is a Smith & Wesson MMP. I've got some pictures of Casey Goodson holding this gun or a variant of this gun that I'm going to show you in just a moment. But this is the exact type of gun that is in that picture with one major detail that's different. I'll explain that here in a minute. But there is a slide release lever located, sorry, it's backwards for me, right here on the slide. That is the object, and I'll go ahead and, you know what I'm going to do? So I'm going to put a picture of it right up over here, what the prosecutor is pointing at. So he's pointing at that thing right there. He thinks that is a safety. It is not a safety. It is a slide release. The safety on this particular firearm and on most firearms that have a safety. This is my 1911. It's the only firearm I have that has a safety that's comparable. The safety is at the back. It goes up and down, preventing the slide from moving. That's how a lot of safeties work on a lot of different firearms. I'm not going to get into all of the different ones, but while the safety is on, you pull the trigger, nothing is happening. When the safety is off, you pull the trigger and the gun will fire. I'll go ahead and put it on safe again. Sorry, 1911s are special. So now the weapon is on safe. What the prosecutor is trying to say is that in this picture, the weapon is on safe. Therefore, Casey Goodson had no intention of shooting Deputy Meade. Another question I want to ask you is, I'm going to go ahead and pull back a little bit. Can you tell me if this gun is on safe or if this gun is on fire? If somebody pointed this gun at you, what would you think? I'll take my finger and I'll put it on the trigger instead of having good gun discipline. You can't really tell if the gun's on safe, the gun's on fire, especially if you're 20, 30 feet away. But that is one of the things that the prosecution is trying to base their case on. Now, I told you I have pictures of the actual firearm. Ooh, and here it is. Somebody sent this to me. I'm assuming this is one of Casey's Facebook posts. I don't know if any evidence has been actually distributed to the public, but this is actually, sorry, I'm going to doing two things at once. This is actually Casey Goodson's concealed carry permit, and it's the firearm that was in that picture right there. And I think, yep, I've got it right here. Here is something I did on Photoshop where I put both of the pictures together. This is the one from the courtroom where the prosecutor is pointing at the slide release lever, trying to identify that as the safety. And then this is the picture that I'm assuming is authentic, has a picture of Casey Goodson's Franklin County concealed weapons permit, as well as it has two firearms in this picture, but this one looks to be the same one that's in this picture here. This is the slide release lever that is circled in red, just like it is over here. This particular version of this Smith & Wesson MMP actually does have a thumb safety on it. So his weapon does have a safety. This picture does not show the safety, but one thing that the prosecution is trying to say is that if Casey Goodson was to draw his weapon on a police officer, he would know better than to leave the safety on. That's the point that they're trying to make. That's a very silly point, and it's one that the defense is going to be able to defeat very easily. Anyone that's been around at shooting or shooters or anything like that for any period of time knows that inexperienced shooters often make stupid mistakes. Inexperienced shooters often carry, I don't have any magazines down here, I wanted my ammo away from my guns, often carry their gun with a magazine in, the magazine loaded, and nothing in the gun, so the gun is not in battery. Therefore, when they draw the firearm, they pull the trigger, nothing happens. That's a mistake that inexperienced shooters often make. Therefore, they have to rack around into the chamber and then go ahead and fire their gun. Another thing that inexperienced shooters do, or people that are under a lot of stress that are not accustomed to pulling their gun with the intent to use it, is that they will accidentally leave that safety on, pull the trigger, realize the safety is on, then disengage the trigger and pull the trigger again. So simply stating that Casey's weapon was in safe is not really anything that's going to convict Jason Meade of murder. These are actually tactics that I think would be more accurate if Casey Goodson was on trial and this was his defense attorney, because it appears to me that the prosecutor in the Casey Goodson Jason Meade trial is trying to plant elements of doubt in this case rather than trying to prove guilt beyond shadow of a reasonable doubt. But that's just my opinion. I did want to point out the fact that the prosecutor doesn't know anything about guns, and that's not going to go very well for the state trying to prove the case against Jason Meade. Those are my thoughts on that. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you later.